Welcome back to the Northwoods Church Matters podcast. This is actually my last podcast recording before sabbatical, and my guest today is our last lay elder in training to interview. This is our resident Canadian, Matt Hoogsteen. Welcome. Glad you're south of the border today for us today.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me here.
Matt, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Ontario, Canada. I was born in Oshawa, which is about an hour outside of Toronto. But when I was 2 years old, we moved to Eastern Ontario, closer to Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec, kind of those areas. Most people know where those places are. North of upstate New York, kind of.
Cool.
That area, so further east.
And your family still lives there?
Not too many of them there still. I have a brother that's on the other side of Ottawa, so west of Ottawa. But most of my family is still in Ontario.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and ask you the Canadian questions, which is, do you play hockey?
We grew up playing hockey outside and we didn't play organized hockey, I would say. It's a very expensive sport to play.
Yeah.
We had a big family, and a lot of hockey events are weekends and Sundays, and we grew up going to church. So kind of was prioritized in our house that church came first. But we played a lot of pickup leagues. We played growing up in Canada. It's cold. Every little community has an outdoor rink.
Yeah.
And so you have lots of places to go play, and you meet a lot of people. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. But yeah, I grew up playing.
More like street ball.
Yeah, something like that. It gets a little rough sometimes.
Hey, that's all right for young dudes to play. Is Tim Hortons the best coffee?
It is.
It is.
And you can ask my wife that. Most people that we take with us will agree that Tim Hortons is the place to go. It's our first stop when we make it across the border.
Weirdly enough, the only place in the U.S. I've found with Tim Hortons so far is West Virginia. There's a bunch of Tim Hortons in West Virginia. Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's been creeping its way down. I think there's rumors of it. They partnered with Burger King or something years ago. But we do see more of them as you go north. Ohio's got a lot. Michigan's got a lot. And they're not the same. We've stopped at them. So it's a very Canadian way to order coffee at Tim Hortons specifically. It's like how you make your coffee. If you want 2 cream, 2 sugar, you order double.
Oh.
So if you want 1 cream, 1 sugar is a regular coffee. So if you go to these places, because I've done it, and I say I'd like a large regular, and they give me black coffee, or they don't know what I'm saying, and it's different, and the coffee's not the same.
Hey, so what do you remember from your childhood?
So my childhood, like I said, we grew up in Eastern Ontario. A lot of family time, a lot of outside time. We did a lot of camping. We had a fairly good-sized property that we lived on that backed onto woods that just were empty, like nobody did. I don't even know who owned them. We were free, I guess, to do with whatever we wanted. And we would go build forts. We would make bike trails and do these things. And I'd say my childhood was a pretty good one. Like I said, I always had siblings at home to do things with. Parents were around, raised us.
And the cold never bothered you?
Cold never bothered me. The nice thing about winter when it's cold is that you get winter. You don't have to worry about being wet when it's cold because it doesn't melt. So you go play in the snow, and I did, like I said, we played hockey. So there's always things to do in the cold. And my older brother and I, we snowboarded a lot. So we would wait for these snow days at school and you're not going, and we would get in the car and we would drive hours to ski hills, even though it's too bad to go to school, but we would drive hours to go to ski hills so that we could snowboard all day. And so, the snow is an amazing thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was your first experience with church like?
I was born into a household that church was practiced. 2 great parents, Jeff and Ruby, they had us in church our whole lives. My dad served as an elder in our church that I grew up in. My mom taught women's ministries, led the Sunday school program all together. We were in church a lot, kind of one of those things. If we weren't at home and doing things, we were usually at church. I'd say one of my fondest memories, though, from kind of growing up in church was something we did as a church was church camping. It's one of my favorite memories. In Ontario, there's the provincial parks oftentimes have long roads that go into the park, and then off of those long roads are these individual circuits that are just one-way circular campsite grounds. And our church would get a whole campground, like a whole circle in these campgrounds, and it's about 25 to 30 camp spaces, and we would have all of them, and we'd get them for 3 or 4 days. We'd be camping the whole church together, and we would do meals together, and we would do Sunday service out in the campground, and people would come out and stay and have a whole great time, just water balloon fights and everything that comes along with that stuff as a church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you like as a teenager?
pretty good, I guess, as a teenager. Probably reckless would be a good word to describe me. I throw caution to the wind with a lot of things, paying for it now with a lot of aches and pains. My parents didn't really worry about me too much. They kind of gave me a pretty long leash because of that. And I had freedom to drive to the movies or go hang out with friends because just usually didn't get into too much trouble. Oftentimes I was with family, though, and siblings or friends would come to our house.
How did you come into a relationship with Jesus?
I was raised in church. My parents made a priority to tell us of Jesus and to read with us and bedtime stories and Bible at the dinner table. At a young age, we were always taught that Jesus is our Savior. When I was about 6 or 7, we had an ice storm in the Northeast. It was 1998 ice storm, kind of devastated the area, left us without power for a couple weeks. Military called in to help. That storm kind of hit upstate New York, Vermont, Maine, New Brunswick, southern Quebec, eastern Ontario. And in the midst of this storm, we lost our house. We had a house fire, lost our house,
Wow.
burned down. So through just a miracle and grace by God, we weren't home when our house burnt down. Kind of got home in late due to some extenuating circumstances. And the house was in smoke inside our house. The whole house burnt all the way to the ground. I think the only thing that my dad got out of there was some documents and then some photo albums. There wasn't too much that was really saved from the house. And so in that season of loss, my parents gave all the praise to God in us being safe. We stayed with a family at our church, the Brody family, for a time, and the community and our church really rallied around us, and we were given a lot of things, and my parents would always attribute these greatness to God for saving us. And so that following summer at VBS, hearing about my parents attributing all their protection to God, and then hearing in VBS, like you hear as a kid, that you can have a relationship with Jesus and be saved and go to heaven. I remember coming home from there and having a conversation with my mom and her praying with me and coming alongside of me and having that prayer to ask Jesus to come be in my life.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that story before. That's pretty neat.
So that was it. And then I got baptized when I was 13. And in our church, it was customary that when you get baptized, you give your profession of faith. So you get up there, you need to tell people. So I had that whole experience. And in that, I really felt the Holy Spirit come alongside me at that moment before getting baptized of being saved and the overwhelming sensation that God is going to lead my life.
How did you struggle after you became a Christian?
So after I became a Christian, really I say after that 13, 14 years old, I'd really say that my biggest struggle was trying to find where God wanted me in life. That's really when things started changing for me. First off, you're going to high school. Kids are doing parties and doing these things, and they were my friends, and it's a small community, but I don't partake in these things. And they got that. They were still my friends, but they didn't ask anymore. Once you kind of get, I'm not doing this with you guys, they don't ask. So you kind of grow distant. They're still friends, but you can't be as close to friends that aren't willing to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Also in our area in Eastern Ontario, it's predominantly French.
Oh, okay.
So it's very French. French is not something I took to very well.
Mm-hmm.
My parents don't speak it. I'm not known for being a great student. So I didn't learn French. And if you don't speak French, if you're not pretty fluently bilingual, it's hard to get a job even there. Like, especially if you're looking for a gas station, McDonald's, you can't do it because you don't speak French.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you can't do those things. So I spent a lot of time working on farms and doing other things for people. But I kind of always knew from a young age I wasn't going to stay there. And then at 16, my dad found out that the plant that he'd worked at for the last 15 years was closing. And so me knowing that I'm not going to stay here, thought, okay, we're going to probably end up moving. But they didn't know where. There was talk of maybe Germany or some other places in Europe. Poland, I think, was on the table. And then there was here down in Evansville. And again, just thinking I'm not staying where I'm at. So where does God want me? If he wants me to move, I'm good to go on an adventure. Sure. So I was good to go. I actually graduated my senior year early to move. And then again, through the same, trying to figure out where God wants me, moved down here to Evansville at 17 years old, going to college at 17 years old. Absolutely hated it.
Oh, where did you go to college?
I went to Ivy Tech.
Okay.
I went to Ivy Tech. School was not going well. Had no friends. Didn't enjoy it. First 6 months here was just awful. Went to my parents. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. You need to send me back. You need to let me move in with somebody, family member, whoever. I said, this is awful. In my mind, can't be where God wants me to be because it's just terrible for me. So they encouraged me to say, well, just try it, stick it out. This is where we are. 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, just stick it out a little bit longer. And then another 6 months goes by and I start to make friends. Things get better. I meet Megan, who's now my wife. We start dating. And not 2 months after we start dating, my dad says, hey, I got a new job back in Canada and we're moving again. And I'm like, well, I like it here. I'd like to stay. This might be where God actually wants me. And then he's like, well, you can't stay because you're on a work visa.
Oh, gosh.
And you can't stay. Here I go. Again, another international move back to Canada. I move in with my aunt, start working, continue to date Megan, knowing that if it works out, I should probably be moving back to Indiana. So now I'm living in Canada, going to school, being somewhere temporary again, knowing that this isn't where I'm staying again. This goes on for a long time because then ultimately after 2.5 years of that, we get married. I moved back down to Evansville, and Megan in that time had transferred over to the Northwoods Newburgh campus. I don't know if you're familiar with, with that. So we go there because that's where she was going. And again, I'd had a hard time connecting over there myself, and it was kind of just strange. You're newly married, and it's a small church kind of thing, but it's not really a small church. And we found some people who were doing a plant. Bryce Palmer, who was an intern here at one point in time, and Ed Collins, who was a pastor here, were starting a church. And so we got on board with them. We were like, we'll do this church plant. And so we went, did this church plant, and again, found a spot I liked, was learning about God, was walking, was growing, was becoming a good husband. And then we became parents with this church. And then we did that for about 3 years. And then kind of abruptly, it all came to a stop as church wasn't growing, and they ultimately made the decision that this was going to be the end. And so again, all my roots down and everything was just, you're done here, find somewhere else.
Yeah.
So this is constantly happening every 2 to 3 years for me for a long time, because that's probably 10 years right there.
Yeah.
Of this.
Just transitioning from one situation
for about 10
another.
years. Yeah. Never really getting to be somewhere for long term, and kind of almost being out of my hands in a way. That's kind of what led us back here to Northwoods. Actually, it was familiar. Came back here, and that was 2016. We came back to Northwoods, and we love this place. We enjoy it very much. Really thankful to God to be here. Yeah.
So how exactly did you meet Megan?
Yeah. So like I said, temporarily here in 2010. She is in the youth group here at Northwoods, and I am in the college group. And I'd never really looked for a girlfriend. I didn't date at all through high school. Just didn't see that as something worthwhile doing, especially since didn't think I was staying where I was anyways. I'm here at Northwoods. My good friend, still to this day, Ryan Frazier, he and I were close, and we were hanging out a lot. And he said, hey, there's this girl, and she was talking to me. She has a winter dance coming up. And so she's looking for somebody to go with, and she thought she might ask you. And I'm like, I don't know who this person is that you're talking about. And he's like, she comes to Northwoods. She's in high school. I said, I don't know anybody really in high school. So he's like, well, maybe we can get together and see how things go. So that's kind of what we did. Kind of met for a pizza one night at the Slice, which was by U of E. I don't know if it's still there or not. Just kind of got to know each other and transition to that. I did go to dance with her, and then, did the long-term dating thing. So we kind of had conversation shortly after we started dating, because I found out that I was leaving, about where we thought this was going. And so early on, just a couple months after I started dating, and she's still in high school and I'm a freshman kind of in college, and it's like, where do we think this could go for us? And being real with ourselves and saying, I think this could work if we can put the effort in.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. It was 2.5 years of long distance relationship that now seems very short, but at the time seemed like a very long time. But yeah, we met here at Northwoods would be the short answer.
I've seen some older pictures of you in like a hot pink type bow tie, or...
Oh, yes. That was prom.
That was prom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen the prom pictures.
Yeah, that was prom. That was that 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You're looking pretty stylish.
Yeah. I didn't pick it out.
Well, whatever the lady does, you just got to go with that color scheme.
It was her prom. I was just there.
Yeah, just do what you're told.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How hard is it to have Brian Dempsey as a father-in-law?
Oh, not hard. Brian and I get along great, and kind of always have. So Megan and I started dating. Brian was out of town working. He traveled for work at the time. So we started dating, and I had never met him because he was gone. So he came home for a weekend, and I met him. And so once you get past the original shock of like Brian, and he was kind of trying to be stern. Once you get past that, he's really just...
He's a big teddy bear.
Yeah, he's a fun guy, easy to get along with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he and I, we do a lot of things together, fishing, and yeah, we get along great.
Yeah. And you and Megan have half a baseball team worth of children now?
Yeah, we got 6. Yeah, 6 of them between the ages of 9 and 1 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole gambit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. It's crazy. It was not planned to have so many so close together. God has blessed us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your kids are awesome. What are you currently learning about Jesus?
Currently learning about Jesus is how patient he was. Like we just talked about, having 6 kids, I'm constantly trying to be patient and have grace with them. And I found myself here recently looking at Jesus and his patience as he waited for lots of things in life, as he waited to be ready to begin his ministry journey, as he waited and had patience with large crowds, as Jesus waited and was patient with his disciples when they didn't understand what he was talking about and just knew that time would come that he would. I try to hold on to that and know that they don't need to understand, and I don't need to understand now. I can just be patient and be in the moment.
Cool. Well, let's get into the fun question. So what is the first concert you ever attended?
I went to my first concert in Vaughan. It's just north of Toronto. It's Canada's Wonderland is up there, and they have what was called Wonder Jam. I don't know if they still do it. But when I was about 13 years old, I got an opportunity to go with a youth group, and my dad and my older brother went, and we got to ride roller coasters. First time I ever rode roller coasters. And then they had Wonder Jam. And I think that year, Wonder Jam had Newsboys, Audio Adrenaline, Cutlass.
That's a good lineup.
Yeah, it was a pretty good lineup for my first concert. And I'd listened to all of them because my dad was a big Newsboys fan, and I have older siblings, so we had all the CDs. And there's a few other people at the band, but those are the 3 that stick out to me that I remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonder Jam, like Winter Jam for Canadians.
Yeah, it's Wonder Jam. It's at Canada's Wonderland. So, yeah.
What is the worst food ever?
Typically don't eat like tomatoes unless they're put in something. Yeah, I don't just like
Not raw tomatoes.
Yeah, my mom would just slice them, and my kids just slice them in cherry tomatoes, and I'm like, if they're too soft, and
Yeah, they're kind of mushy.
I don't like them.
It's kind of a texture thing for
me.
Yeah,
I'm not big on tomatoes. Most everything else I'll eat. And I'll eat tomatoes on things. I'll put them on burgers.
Oh, sure.
But I won't eat tomatoes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I'll pick them out of my salad.
Who is someone that you miss?
I miss my family. Now they're still alive, but being so far away from my family, I miss them just in general. I only get to see most of my family a couple times a year, so it's hard to be away. So I miss them a lot. I also would say I miss one of my very best friends that I grew up with. His name's Garrett. He was in a car accident when we were 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
He and his girlfriend both passed away in the car accident.
Wow.
So he's somebody I think about a lot. He was really one of the only people that reached out to me after I moved away, stayed in contact. We made sure to meet up on a few times when I went back. I really miss him.
Wow. What profession would you like to try other than the one you currently have? Because you currently do building and carpentry.
Construction generally is what I'm in.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that I think would be really cool to try. One would be like on an oil rig or something, doing some oil drilling. I think just the whole roughneck thing would be remarkable to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I also would have thought being a pilot would have been a cool job. Had I probably given a little more thought, maybe I could have gone down that road. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, you can still become a pilot.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, we have one of our young adults that's going through piloting school right now.
Yeah, he and I speak about it quite a bit because I'm fairly familiar. I have looked into it. I'm not going to lie. So I know all that goes into that. And yeah.
Yeah. The weirdest thing I've learned from him is that it takes a special license to fly in the clouds.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know the clouds made a difference.
Yeah, because all the instrumentation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, flying. So you have to fly by instrumentation. That's a nerdy moment.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do to relax?
Shoot, I don't get much time to relax these days.
6 children.
Yeah, most of my relaxing is done at 9 o'clock after everybody's in bed and the dishes are done. I get like 45 minutes to just watch a TV show or something. But I find camping, relaxing, sitting outside, just kind of, I'm a big introvert. So if I can get some alone time, just not much. I don't need much. I just need a little bit of time, quiet to myself. I can get relaxed pretty quick.
Yeah. So at 9 o'clock when all the kids are in bed, comedy or drama?
Mostly comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more comedy. My wife does the drama and she will watch it on her phone to where I can't hear it because it's not funny. I'm more comedy. Yeah.
I could see that. What is your favorite music album?
Favorite music album? Yeah, see, I'm kind of the generation of I didn't have too many music albums.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I do Spotify now and stuff. So I kind of looking back at the kind of stuff I listen to the most, which is a lot of country, but older country, like 90s country.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
90s and early 2000s, maybe.
Like
Garth Brooks. Yeah. Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
Even a little older, Randy Travis kind of stuff. But I look back and there's a Canadian country artist. His name's Paul Brandt. And he was in Nashville or in the 90s, I think, for a little while. But then he went back to Canada, created his own record label. But he has an album, Risk. And I really enjoyed that. We owned that one as a kid. Me and my brother somehow got it. I don't know when we got it, but we listened to it a lot. Just in our room. It would just be in the CD player constantly. Yeah. So I like that. It's one of those ones I kick on a few of the songs and I'm back a teenager in my room.
In Canada.
Yeah. But another one that I found myself that I listen to a lot of songs is the Cutlass. Like I said, I went to Cutlass was one of my first concerts. Cutlass, their Alpha Omega album. I really like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one too. What is your favorite dessert?
Some desserts that I would pick more often would be like a lemon meringue pie or a pumpkin pie. It's hard to beat those.
So you're a pie guy.
I love pies. Pies and cobblers. If you get like a peach cobbler, apple cobbler, those things. Yeah. Take those over cake most days. Yeah.
So I'll close with one more thing, which is you've gone with us to Puerto Rico a couple times. Tell us about your experience with Puerto Rico and what makes you gravitate towards that.
Yeah. I love Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I love what they're doing there. Again, I'm in construction. What they do there is they are in people's homes, helping them in ways that directly affect them with sealing roofs, giving their house a good painting so that it looks nicer. They have a better feel about where they live. We have the 2 churches we work with there are just awesome what they're doing in their outreach. I just really found myself when I was there that it was just an easy place to be. And the facilities there are great. You're kind of taken care of. So you get to go out and be all sweaty and hot and work all day. And then you do get to come back and relax as well. So you kind of get that 2 worlds. It's great. There's something about the Puerto Rico people there. The staff that's at
the NAM facility.
The staff of the NAM facilities is wonderful and really just great to hang out with.
Cool. Awesome. I'm glad we took some time to learn about Matt Hoogsteen, and you'll see him running around chasing 6 children in the sanctuary. So Don't be scared and tell him hi. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good week. Thanks for tuning in to the Northwoods Church Matters podcast. If you'd like to find out more about Northwoods Church, you can visit us at our website, www.northwoodschurch.org. Again, that's www.northwoodschurch.org.